So if you know my content, you know that I'm a pretty big Hulk fan, and unfortunately for most of us Hulk fans, his characterization and other than the comics hasn't been particularly great as of recently. In fact, it's basically non-existent at this point. Why is that? Well, it's a huge number of factors, and that is of course because Marvel technically doesn't own the film rights to Hulk, or at least not fully. He can't have his own movie, him and like a bunch of other characters, but the Hulk specifically, that's who we're talking about, he can't have his own movie, which is unfortunate because the last movie we did have him was 2008's The Incredible Hulk, which unfortunately was not a very great movie. It was an okay movie. I had some fun with it, I'm not gonna lie. You know, some of the fight scenes were pretty cool, especially that end fight scene, but like overall as a Hulk movie, it kind of just went all over the place. You could kind of tell where it was going, but like it just didn't feel like a true Hulk story, you know? It didn't really clear that bar of a good Hulk story. But that's besides the point. The point is that we haven't been having a good time recently as Hulk fans, and as I said, there's a bunch of reasons. It's all over the place. It's because Universal still owns Hulk, and Marvel can't make any Hulk movies because of that, and it's really fucking annoying. So instead of like putting Hulk at the forefront of anything, he's basically just a side character. He's just a grunt. He's the type of character that gets beaten up to show that, oh, the main villain is a really bad guy. He's a really tough guy. That's basically what happened in Infinity War in like the beginning of that film when he gets the absolute shit kicked out of him by fucking Thanos, which was, you know, it was cool, you know, to show that, oh, Thanos is a real threat, but it also kind of sucked because it basically showed that the Hulk would not be a threat at all. Like, he's like just fucking laughable now because, you know, he's not threatening anymore. He got beaten up, and he didn't even return the entire film. It was just Bruce Banner being fucking weird and silly. Not even Bruce Banner, it was just Mark Ruffalo playing Mark Ruffalo. A slightly comedic version of himself at the very least. And it just kind of sucked. If anything, it kind of brought down my enjoyment of the film a little bit because of that entire thing. Unfortunately, because they just couldn't get the character right. And then in the end game, they just decided to gloss over all of his characterization, all of his like character growth, and just said, oh yeah, Hulk is now just Bruce Banner, but green now. That's basically it. He's just green Bruce Banner. He's green Mark Ruffalo. And that's all of it. All that character stuff, gone. You don't really care about it. They don't care about it whatsoever, which absolutely fucking sucks, because they ran over all the stuff that made the Professor Hulk a really good character. Now, people hate this version of Hulk, and because of that, they said, oh, it's because the version of that Hulk in the comics, it sucked. It's like, no, it's actually really good. If you read the original, like, Professor Hulk saga by Peter David, it's actually really fucking good. It's written really well. Like, he isn't just like Bruce Banner but green. He's a mixture of Bruce Banner and the Grey Hulk and the Savage Hulk. All of those personalities and their strengths into one like perfect being. And it's actually really good. He isn't just some fucking Bruce Banner but like sillier and greener. He has his own personality, he has his own traits and whatnot, and he's really cool. He's really cool in the comics. And the fact that they just kind of like basically flanderized him and made him just a lovable goofball who's just really big, it's just terrible. It's absolutely fucking terrible. And like, it's just like, dog, what the fuck? Like, you ruined this character. And now he's barely even a character in these movies. You saw him in She-Hulk. He's basically just the guy in the chair, I guess, that helped out his cousin. Also, they kind of ruined She-Hulk, but let's not get into that. I don't want to get into that. I don't think anyone wants to get into that. And he hasn't really been a main character for really since, like, Avengers Age of Ultron. Like, he was in Thor Ragnarok, but, like, who fucking cares about Thor Ragnarok? Well, a lot of people like that movie, but let's be real here. As an adaptation of the Planet Hulk storyline, it absolutely fucking sucked. It was a really terrible adaptation of it. It was a fun movie, don't get me wrong. It's a really funny movie. It's a fun movie. It's got some cool action scenes. I also liked when Thor went fucking Super Saiyan. Really fun stuff. But like, as a Hulk story, as an adaptation of Planet Hulk, it absolutely sucked. Like, you took away all the characterization, all the interesting aspects of that story to make your weird sci-fi comedy film. And it just wasn't a really good adaptation. And it's the film that basically turned Hulk into a joke, basically. He's just a big baby that, Thor has to talk down to all the time and doesn't really understand things. And, like, that's a characterization that's also sort of in the comics, too. But, like, there's more to that. There's more nuance to that. More pathos, or is it ethos? I don't fucking know. More of the, whatever the Greek words were of that. and they just like downplayed it, and they didn't like put any of the good stuff in it, like the Sakaar son, or they didn't bring in any of those characters from the original Planet Hulk saga, like this lady and this guy. I mean, they brought in Korg, but like Korg in this movie is totally different than Korg in the comics. And they have Meek, but again, Meek in the comics is totally different than Meek in the movie, which is absolutely fucking terrible. And of course, they just made him a goofball. It wasn't even the right personality they used. They used a Savage Hulk personality in this movie rather than the Green Scar personality, who's a totally different personality and acts totally different than Savage Hulk. But it didn't matter, because hey, look at that, Hulk is being dumb and silly and he fights the big wolf. And isn't that cool? Isn't that great? No, it is not great. It fucking sucks. Us Hulk fans, man, we haven't gotten proper representation since fucking ever. Honestly, it absolutely sucks. Like, the only good like Hulk film that came out in the past, like, the last decade was a 2011 direct-to-DVD animated film about Planet Hulk, which was good. I made a video about that. Really good movie. Absolutely loved it. One of the better animated direct-to-DVD films that was coming out during that time, with like Lionsgate and Marvel making those little animated films, trying to do like the DC thing. But it was genuinely really good. But unfortunately, nobody fucking watches those films, and they never made more of those ever again. I mean, they made a couple of them, but like, again, nobody fucking watched them, and it doesn't really matter. And that was like the only other movie that was like Hulk, that was Hulk as the main character. And that was an unofficial direct-to-DVD film that most people know about from their childhood, but like, they don't really talk about it all that much, other than like me and a couple other YouTubers. And it absolutely fucking sucks. It's absolutely terrible. And now, where is Hulk now in the MCU? Where is he? I don't fucking know. I guess he went to Sakaar, and now he has Scar with this fucking terrible ass haircut. Like, this isn't Scar. This is fucking faded. Like his haircut. What is this shit? What did they do to my boy? This is Scar. This is Fade. I don't know, man. Dude. They're probably not going to bring Scar into the actual movies. They're just going to show, hey, look at that. Scar's here now. Isn't that cool? No, it isn't. Honestly, I really can't wait for this like MCU reboot, because maybe, just maybe, and I have a little bit of hope that maybe it might be good. Maybe they were like rechange the Hulk and stuff like that, make him better, write him better. Apparently he's gonna be in the next Spider-Man film, which is okay, I guess. I don't know why a Hulk would need to be in a Spider-Man movie. I guess it's because Marvel has to like put a Marvel character into a Spider-Man film, because that's like part of like their contract with Sony or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about studio politics. It's very weird, but it could be good. This will be like the first time in like years where the Hulk is in something central. If that's the case, this is just a rumor, so don't quote me on this. But like, maybe it could be good. Maybe there could be some good characterization on it. I doubt it, but I'll just have to wait and see. It comes out next year, so who knows? Who the fuck knows? I certainly don't. But whatever, speaking of Hulk, the Red Hulk is now here. He's played by fucking 80-year-old, fucking Harrison Ford, who's probably gonna like die in the next 2 years, so that's great. We probably won't see him for a very long time anyways. But yeah, let's talk about that Captain America movie, actually, that new one. I didn't actually watch it, but I know about like the plot and shit like that, because, most people do. It's kind of hard to not escape the spoilers of these MCU films, let's be real here. And it's basically just Jeff Loeb's Hulk run mixed in with some of Ed Brubicker's Captain America run and shit like that. And apparently it's not a very good film, but what really fucking annoys me is that this is basically a sequel to 2008's Incredible Hulk without the Hulk. You have Hulk villains, you have a mostly Hulk-centered storyline, but you don't have the main green guy in their movie. Like, what the fuck? What is this shit? Like, you have the Red Hulk, who appeared in the original, like, Jeff Loeb's Hulk back in, like, 2008. It was happened after the events of the World War Hulk series. They have that, and they don't have, like, the original Hulk. They have the fucking leader, a guy who hasn't been introduced since 2008's Hulk, and he looks like this. What the fuck? What's going on here? Ew. Like, I get what they were going for. They were trying to go for, like, the 90s, like, asshead Hulk that Peter Dayford introduced, R.I.P., by the way, that he introduced all those years back, and I get it, but, like, he looks like he just has a scrotum on his head. What the fuck is this shit? It's like he's got, a giant tumor just growing on there. It doesn't look like that. And apparently, this was supposed to be, like, a redesign, because the original design looked way more comic accurate. I was like, Why couldn't they just go with this one? What the fuck? I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. They also brought in Saber, I believe her name is. Sabra Saber, whatever the fuck her name is. The Israeli superhero that also appeared in a Hulk comic. She's in here too. Sort of. They did a lot of like refilming of this film. Like, apparently it's not as much as people say it was, but they did a lot of it. So like all the characterizations all out of whack and shit like that. So they have a bunch of Hulk characters, but they don't bring in Hulk because this is a Captain America movie. But if this is a Captain America movie, why didn't they just bring in, I don't know, Captain America characters? Why didn't they just, I don't know, bring in like storyline from the Sam Wilson Captain America series? Like, his comics have been around for a good while, like nearly 10 years he's been Captain America. They could have chosen anything, or they could have chosen some characters from, you know, Steve Rogers series, from like the Ed Brubaker one or whatever. Like, do something like that. But why bring in all these Hulk characters, bring in all these plot lines from the Incredible Hulk series, but don't bring in Bruce Banner, even as like a side character or something, or like the sidekicks or whatever, you know, as a, I don't fucking know, just someone, just something. Why bring in all these Hulk villains and not bring in the Hulk? Like, what the fuck? Am I going insane? Am I crazy for thinking that? And yes, Red Hulk was originally intended to be a Hulk villain. He's not anymore. He hasn't been a villain for, honestly, not even since his like original appearance he stayed as a villain, but still, he was an antagonist, and he was very important to the Hulk lore, and it just don't bring him in. The fuck? At this point, we went from adapting Hulk terribly to not even bringing him in into any of the storylines that he's important in. Like, what is this? This is insane. This can't, I can't be the only one who's like thinking this is crazy. Like, they're taking all of his storylines, they're giving it to other characters, and we're supposed to be just cool with that? And at this point, they're not even bringing him in as a side character. He's not even thought of as a character or someone to talk to. They just don't bring him in anymore. Like, what kind of adaptation is this? Like, what are we doing here? And it's not even just a movie. It's like, video game-wise, we haven't had a Hulk-centered video game since 2008, and that was an adaptation of the movie. So, you know that's gonna be terrible. It's basically just a really bad rendition of Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, which was a great game, a game that I still want to make a review on, but unfortunately I don't have the means to play it. But someday I'll make that review. Don't worry, guys, I'm making that review. But we haven't had him in any like mainline game. We haven't had a mainline Hulk game in since nearly 20 years at this point, which is crazy to think about. We haven't had a good cartoon since Hulk and Agents of Smash, and the less said about that cartoon, the better. The last good cartoon we've had of the Hulk was the 90s animated series, and that was only like the first season, so like very long time basically. It's like, why can't we just have something at the very least? Like, Marvel, you at least own his TV rights. Like, why don't you just make a TV series? Make something like a cartoon series. You guys are doing like the X-Men 97 shit, maybe just revive the 90s show. Like, I don't think that would be that hard to do so. People would want it. People love the Hulk, that's the thing. People like the Hulk, but we don't get much of him. Like, he's like one of the pillars of Marvel, and yet Marvel doesn't want to do anything with the character other than the comics. Like, we don't get any video games, we don't get any cartoons. Maybe he'll appear in a fighting game here and there, but that's about it. We don't see anything from this character, which is insane to think about, because just 20 years ago, he was one of the main big characters that everybody loved. When people thought Marvel, they thought Hulk, Wolverine, Spider-Man. Those were like the three main guys that we all thought about when it came to Marvel. And they just fucking forgot about him. They upped and left him. And it's just crazy to think about. Like, the best adaptation of the Hulk that we've ever had at this point was the 2003 Hulk by Ang Lee. Yes, the one with the terrible fucking weird editing choices and stuff like that. That's the latest rendition of the Hulk that we've had since then. And that's about it. That's like the most, possibly the best, I wouldn't say the best, but it's possibly the most faithful adaptation of the Hulk that we've gotten. And it's just, that's it. This one, is this the one that we want to be the best adaptation? MCU, with all of your money, all of your resources, all of your everything, and you want this one to still be the best one? Like, come on, guys. Come on. I don't know, I'm just disappointed. Obviously, I've been reading some Hulk comics after the death of Peter David, and I've been reading his run, and I forgot how good this run is, and how good the Hulk could be after rereading all this shit. Like, the Incredible Hulk from the 90s and all the way up to that, It's just been really fucking good. And there's so much good stories that we can tell with this character. So many good stories that we can adapt. And they just don't. They refuse to. They don't even bring him into the storylines that he's important to anymore. They just give it to somebody else. And that's crazy. That's absolutely insane to think about. Like, I can't be the only one who thinks that's just absolutely insane. Like, I can't be going crazy, right? Like, they don't even bring him in as a sort of guy they could talk to about, like, the Gamma shit or whatever, or let him talk to Samuel Stearns in a movie. No, they don't do that. They just leave him out. Maybe they do. I don't know. As I said, I never watched the film, but, like, what the fuck? Genuinely, what the fuck? I wish we got something a little bit better for people, especially people who are interested in the Hulk and want to get into it, but all we have is the 2003 Hulk movie, which is just fucking weird, or the 2008 movie, which is just a generic action film with some good scenes here and there, I guess, but like, for the most part, it's just, neither of these films represent the Hulk at, you know, his peak, or at least at the best way they can, unfortunately. It's just, it feels like shoddy action films, monster films, that don't really truly understand the Hulk. 2003 ones, once again, did try, and it did have some good representation there, especially when it came to like the psychological aspects of Bruce Banner and the Hulk, but for the most part, it just, I don't know, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. To me, it failed, I guess, as a Hulk fan. And it's just sad, you know? Like, the best show we got was from, like, the 70s, the live-action show, and that was possibly the least accurate Hulk at that time. Even when the comic was coming out, it was possibly the least comic-accurate show, but it's still somehow a better representation of the Hulk than the fucking MCU, fucking Disney-backed stuff that we're getting right now. That's somehow worse than the 70s show, where it's just a giant guy, you know, painted green. That's absolutely fucking insane. But I guess that's where we're at today. Marvel doesn't want to, like, do anything with Universal to give, like, a Hulk a movie, despite the fact that they do that shit with Sony when it comes to Spider-Man characters. They don't give him a cartoon. They don't want to put him in any video games, or at least no video game company wants to make a Hulk game for some reason, despite the fact that if they do good, they'll sell, like, 1 million copies. Like, Hulk Ultimate Destruction is possibly one of the best games ever. People love that game. And yet nobody wants to make a game about it. Disney can't, like, sell the character to any game company ever. I find that hard to believe personally. I really do. That's just how I am right now. That's just where I'm at when it comes to, like, Hulk representation in other media. And, you know, rereading these older comics, these older issues, and, you know, getting the story of Bruce Banner, it really depresses me even more, because he has so much potential. There's so much you could do with this character. It's genuinely, some of the best runs come from the Hulk, like the Immortal Hulk, or PAD run on a Hulk, or even World War Hulk, a Planet Hulk. They managed to butcher Planet Hulk, but maybe they could do something with World War Hulk, maybe? I don't know. Or something, anything, just anything. Something with some sort of, like, you know, meat to it. You know, something that we can, like, chew on. Something interesting. But no, all we got is silly green guy that does science, and that's about it. And that's really depressing, because the Hulk is more than just that. He's more than just the muscle or the brains. He has a lot more deeper characterization than what we give him credit for, that most people give him credit for, and it's super depressing that nobody knows that, unfortunately. And we just have to fucking beg and cry and fucking, you know, cower to Marvel to just ask them, beg them for something for the Hulk, anything. Because we're starving out there. Us Hulk heads, we're starving out there. We don't get shit at all, and it sucks. It absolutely fucking sucks. Spider-Man gets his, like, 50th game, his, like, 100th TV show, his 1 millionth movie, and maybe he gets to be in a fucking card game, I don't fucking know. Hulk, he gets shit, despite the fact that he's literally one of the pillars of Marvel. He somehow doesn't get anything, despite the fact that Marvel basically owns all the other rights that they have for him. That the Immortal Hulk was literally outselling Batman at one point, and yet they don't do anything with him. Like, literally, the Immortal Hulk was one of the best written books at that time. It was outselling Batman. People loved it. It was nominated for an Eisner Award, and yet Marvel doesn't do anything with that. They don't say, people seem to like this Hawkeye very much. They seem to be really interested in this character and his stories. Let's do nothing with this character. Let's fucking disregard this entire character and disrespect him at any time we can. Okay, what the fuck? So that's why I'm saying that I have some hope for, like, the MCU reboot that's gonna happen after Secret Wars. And maybe we might get something of substance with the Hulk. Maybe we might even get a new movie. Who knows? And with the new Spider-Man movie coming out and him being in that movie, supposedly. Maybe we'll get some substance there too. I don't fucking know. I just hope we get something, anything interesting. But yeah, that's my little rant today. As of the recording of this video, as you could tell, I'm a bit peeved at this, but I don't wanna end this on a negative note. So instead, I'm gonna give you guys some references, some material that you guys could read if you're interested in the character of the Hulk, and you want to get into him and you don't know where to start. So of course, we have the original '60s run, which was about 6 issues before it was canceled because a lot of people didn't buy it. The first issue is possibly the best issue, mostly because all the other issues afterwards are basic sci-fi, fantasy stuff, with a little bit of Red Scare shit, kicked into it because this was during the Cold War. So the stories are definitely, of their time, unfortunately. I wouldn't say they're bad per se. I personally enjoy them. I think they're very, charming in a way. It does have that like late 60s charm to it. But if you're a new reader and you want to get into the character, it'll probably be very hard for someone, young and, interested in this character to get into these older, more, of their time runs, unfortunately. So instead of like reading all these older comics, I would probably recommend reading either Hulk Gray by Jeff Loeb or Hulk Season 1. Those are 2 good stories to start with if you're interested in the character, and they're both origin stories. I believe Hulk Gray, they're both neither sort of canonical, not canonical. It sort of kind of depends what you think, but they're still really good to start off if you're really interested in the Hulk. After that, you get into the Len Wein run, which unfortunately isn't fully collected right now, but you can read it all on the Marvel app or some other places that are not exactly legal, if you know what I mean, wink wink. But that's a run that you can really get into. First time Wolverine appears and Hulk fights the Wendigo. It's when we get the Herb Tribe and the Sal Buscema art style of the Hulk that was like super popular for his character. It was like that was like the John Romita, senior of the Hulk for Hulk comics. The Herb Tribe Sal Buscema sort of art look for the Hulk for that time, and it's really good. I love this art. I genuinely do. It looks amazing. But I highly recommend Len Wein run because it's really good, and it's really to start when the Hulk series like kicks off into high gear. It's super fucking cool. After that, it's the Bill Mantlo run. Bill Mantlo, he's basically the guy that really started with the whole psychological aspect of the Hulk and brought in the idea that Bruce was an abused child growing up, and that's what got super interesting for the character, and people really like that. So this was the writer for the Hulk for a pretty long time, and then he was replaced by, of course, Peter David. And Peter David's run I've talked to about in length. It's a 12-issue run. It's super good. It introduced the Grey Hulk, the Professor, the Gill Hulk actually, and a bunch of other concepts that have been like super beneficial for the character, and it's still like built on to this very day. So highly recommend that run. Obviously, you could buy all 4 volumes of the Omnibus on Amazon, or again, just read it on the Marvel app. After that run, of course, we have Joe Casey and John Byrne runs of the Hulk. The Joe Casey run was basically just like a couple of issues that was supposed to, end the whole like Peter David run, because Peter David left the book before he could truly like give a definitive ending for his run. So like Joe Casey had to come in and do it himself, and unfortunately it wasn't very good. And then John Byrne was the one who came in to replace Joe Casey as like the new Hulk writer. They even like relaunched the book with a new #1 and just called it Hulk for like 11 issues, but unfortunately the run wasn't all that great. It just kind of felt weirdly, old timey, like it was trying to harken back to the old days of Hulk comics, back when Hulk was just an idiot and Bruce was like running away and stuff like that. The less interesting aspects of the Hulk comics from like the 60s and stuff like that. That's what it felt like, and it seems that everybody agreed with that take because as I said, John Byrne only wrote for like 11 issues before he was kicked off, and then Paul Jenkins came in to write the Hulk afterwards. If you know Paul Jenkins, he's the guy who like helped create the Century. So of course we're gonna get some pretty interesting psychological aspects when it comes to the Hulk, and man did we, because he delved really deep into those aspects of the multiple personality aspects that Peter David brought up in his run, and he dove really deeply into that one. He's the creator of the Devil Hulk, and it's really good. It's a really fucking good run. It feels like a good spiritual successor to the Peter David run, and it felt like it was delving deeper into the topics that Peter David brought up in his own run, and I really highly recommend it. Again, you can read it on the Marvel app. After that run is the Bruce Jones run, and this is a very weird run. Hulk fans either love this run or hate this run. It's definitely very different, if you know what I mean. It basically just kind of threw away all of like the character growth and all of the storylines from the Paul Jenkins run, and decided to do its own thing. So it became like more of like a weird noir, psychological thriller, political thriller thing. The art is very dark and depressing, and it's moody, and it's very, very different. It's very early 2000s grungy, if you get what I mean. Personally, I kind of like it. I kind of vibe for it. I am a bit annoyed that it basically just, doesn't talk about any of the stuff that happened beforehand in the last run. But other than that, it feels super interesting. It feels super different, and I quite like it. While the later half of the run did kind of go off the rails and wasn't all that great, especially compared to the first half, it's mostly the editorials fault. Like, I don't think Bruce Jones wanted to do half the stuff that he was told to during like the end of his run. But like the first like 4-5-ish volumes of this run was actually pretty fucking good. I really like it, and I get why people hate it. As I said before, it totally disregards all the other shit that happened in the last run. But if you're really interested in like the psychological thriller aspects of this run, you probably really like it. The covers are like super sick too. I really like the covers. And if you're like a new Hulk fan and you want to get into Hulk but you don't want to be baggaged down by a bunch of other shit, I would probably really recommend this for like new Hulk fans who don't want to be baggaged down from other like Hulk lore, and they want like one complete storyline. So yeah, you could probably read this one. It feels like totally disconnected from the entire Marvel universe. Like Iron Man shows up at one point, but that's about it. Like no other heroes show up in this comic. It feels like an Elseworlds comic at points. Like it just doesn't feel like it's connected at all to any of the Marvel shit that was happening during this kind of run, which is super weird. But yeah, I don't know. Read if you want to. Again, people have super mixed thoughts on this. As I said, I personally like it, so I would totally recommend this series. But other than that, after that, Peter David comes in to write like 6 other issues, but they're like mostly mini issues and they're not really all that connective, so you could skip that run. It's only like 12-ish issues, and the last 12 issues are just a tie-in to the House of M storyline, so it really doesn't matter all that much. After that, though, we get the Planet Hulk saga, and of course, everybody's talked about the Planet Hulk saga. It's like one of the definitive Hulk runs. It's super... It's super popular. They've made an entire animated movie about it, and they made a really botched, live action movie about it. Read it. You pretty much have to read it if you want to get into the Hulk. It's like you have to read. You basically fucking have to read the book. You have to read it. It's like one of the best storylines of all time. Just read Planet Hulk. And after Planet Hulk, of course, it's World War Hulk. And of course, once again, you have to read it. You basically have to read it. It's like one of the Hulk runs of all times, and it's a really great crossover event with all the other superheroes. So go ahead, read it. It's super fucking good. I don't know what else to say. Everybody who's talked about this run already talked about it. I've even made a video on it. So like, read the run. It's super fucking good. After that, of course, we had the Jeff Loeb run, and this is where the Red Hulk comes in, and the Red She-Hulk, and A-Bomb, and a bunch of other Hulks. It's super fucking crazy. It goes insane. But it's pretty good. It's fun. I wouldn't exactly call it like good writing or great writing all that much. It was during like the last half of like when Jeff Loeb's writing wasn't all that great. Then when he started up as a comic writer, it was during this time when Jeff Loeb was sort of kind of winding down as a great writer, unfortunately. But it was still like a lot of good like popcorn fun, I would say. And of course the art by Ed McGuinness, who was like the main artist for that run, super fucking good. I absolutely love Ed McGuinness's art. So like highly recommend it if you like good art, good action. But if you like good like writing and good characterization, maybe skip this one. But it is like you have to kind of read it if you want to know where the Red Hulk comes from. If you're a fan of the Red Hulk and you saw him in like the new Captain America movie and thought he was cool, so read it for that at the very least. And after that one, Greg Pak returns again, and he writes the rest of his run on the Hulk. First it was called The Incredible Hulk, then it was called The Incredible Hulks, and it's mostly about the Hulk family and them going on adventures and fighting monsters and stuff like that. I have to say it's not as good as the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk sagas, and I kind of feel like he probably should have just stopped there. But overall, though, as a whole, I still think it's a fun run. It's pretty cool. Again, it's not like highly written. It's not the greatest thing of all time, but the art is cool. The characterization is also really fantastic. They bring in Scar, the son of Hulk, who also has this little mini series that was in during the whole Red Hulk saga. So you should probably read that as well. Scar, Son of Hulk, and also read the Son of Hulk series by Paul Jenkins, which is about Bruce Banner's other son, Hirokala, who's also pretty important to the Hulk mythos. But yeah, read those runs if you want to. Again, compared to like the last couple storylines he was writing, it's not as great, but it's still a lot of fun and still pretty cool. So after this, Hulk went into kind of a rut for like the next 3 or so runs, because I don't think the writers knew what they wanted for this character or what they were doing, so like they just kind of threw everything at the wall and wonder if it would stick. So we have like Jason Aaron's Incredible Hulk run, then we have Mark Waid's Indestructible Hulk run, and then after that we have Jerry Dugan's Omega Hulk run. And they're all pretty mediocre, I'm gonna say. They're not particularly great, unfortunately. They all have their shining moments here and there. Like, I like Bruce Banner working with S.H.I.E.L.D. during the Indestructible Hulk run, and I do like aspects of Doc Samson and the Omega Hulk run, even though it's basically just the Professor, but less interesting somehow. But overall, though, I wouldn't exactly recommend these runs. They're kind of boring. They're kind of But I guess if you want to get into a Hulk run and you don't want to, you know, get bagged down by all the other baggage, you could probably read it if you want to. It's not too terrible. It's just very, very mediocre, and you probably get bored very early on into the series like I was. So don't recommend reading. And after that, Greg Pak returns after the whole Secret Wars events, and he writes Totally Awesome Hulk with Amadeus Cho as the Hulk. And it's not good, unfortunately. It's not good at all. I like Amadeus Cho as his own character. As the Hulk, I don't see the vision, personally. I don't particularly like him as the Hulk. But, you know, it's a very boring run. It feels like a very how do you do kids sort of run, because, you know, Amadeus is a much younger man than Bruce Banner. So it feels like it's trying to, I don't know, it's trying to be for the kids, for the younger, you know, aged audience. It feels like a YA series, and it doesn't feel as interesting or as mature as other Hulk runs, so I can't recommend this at all. Also, Bruce Banner isn't the main character, so there's no point in reading this run anyways. Maybe read it if you're interested or if you're curious, but personally, I think the run is trash, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Greg Pak, I think you're pretty cool as a writer, but I just didn't like this run at all. But after this one, we have the Immortal Hulk run. And again, I've already talked about this run. Everybody's talked about this run. It's possibly one of the best Hulk runs of all time. Just read it, you know, just read it. It's really fucking good. You could buy all 50 issues in a giant omnibus on Amazon, or just read it in the Marvel app. It's fucking amazing. It's astounding. It's spectacular. The art is fucking amazing. The writing is fucking amazing. The characterization, all of it, it's great. It's just amazing. But I've already talked about that run, so there's no point in talking about it anymore. It's super good. Read it. But then after this one, we have, unfortunately, the Donny Cates Starship Hulk run, and it's not very good. The art is really good because it's drawn by Ryan Idley, you know, the guy who did Invincible. So, you know, the art, the action sequence, the gore, it's fucking amazing. But when it comes to the story, I don't know. It just feels like it's trying to do its own thing, but not very good. And unfortunately, Donny Cates went through a car accident during this time, so he couldn't actually finish this run. So it was only like 14 issues, and it feels very disjointed, especially since this run came after, you know, the events of the Immortal Hulk run, and people want to know, oh, what's up with Hulk now, since, you know, he basically, in that run, you know, he made peace with all of his alters, with the Hulk, with Joe Fixit, and stuff like that. So people would be wondering, oh, I wonder, you know, what's it gonna be like with all 3 of those alters now, you know, finding peace with each other and now working together. Well, Donny Cates just kind of fucking threw that away and just went back to the Hulk-Bruce, you know, dichotomy instead of like the alters that was being explored during the Immortal Hulk. And you can really tell that this was probably a run that Donny Cates always wanted to do, but wasn't allowed to until like the very last minute, and now just decided to do it anyways, despite the fact all of the shit that happened during the Immortal Hulk run. So like, yeah, it's kind of sucks, honestly. Again, the art is pretty cool. They had this really cool crossover event with Thor, with Hulk versus Thor, which was pretty cool. I like that. But overall, though, as a storyline, I just can't vibe with it personally. And it's just, but it is really short, thankfully, so it's not like, you know, it won't take very long to read. So you can, like, get it done in, like, a day at most. Probably the fastest way to be disappointed, other than Me with Your Mom, huh? But yeah, other than that, though, yeah, I wouldn't recommend that run. But finally, after that run, we finally get to today's run, the run that's currently ongoing, and that is PKJ's run, you know, Philip Kennedy Johnson's run. And this run, once again, is it's very, very it kind of depends. People either love it or hate it. It's very slow, so people don't like how slow it is. It also doesn't do anything with the alters. In fact, Philip Kennedy Johnson is pretty much went on record saying like he doesn't care about the alter stuff and just wanted to make his own story and stuff like that. So that's pissed off a lot of people, especially like mega Hulk fans. Personally, though, despite that, I kind of like it. I kind of like the slow start. I really like that it's a slow burn. I like the characters. I love the art by Nick Klein. I think the art is fucking amazing. It's very brutal. It's very, it's very monstrous. I don't know. I like the characterization of the Hulk. It feels like a mixture of the Devil Hulk and the Green Scar, but except way more evil, way more violent. I get that Philip Kennedy Johnson didn't want anything to do with like the Hulk alters and stuff like that, and that is a bit annoying, especially since, after reading the Immortal Hulk, you understand how important that is to the character. But like, that's something I couldn't forgive if the story I feel is interesting, and I do feel like the story is interesting. I get why people dislike it because it's so fucking slow, and each issue just seems to be shorter than the last at times, and it feels like, we're not gaining anywhere, especially when it comes to like character development. But personally, I could definitely see where Phil Kennedy Johnson is going for, and I could definitely see the end game for it, and I'm pretty excited, and I love the art to it. As I said before, the art is just fucking amazing, so like, just stay for the art if you don't like the story. That's all I'm saying, basically. But yeah, but it is a bit hard to recommend for people who really love the Hulk after reading all the other, comics and stuff like that, and then getting into this one, especially after the Immortal Hulk. But I would still technically try to recommend it if you want to just get into some interesting, Monster of the Week action. Honestly, this kind of reminds me of the Paul Jenkins Bruce Jones run. You have this one run that's about like the psychological aspects of the Incredible Hulk, and going deep into those things. And then you got another run which basically does away with all that shit and does its own thing. This feels a little bit like that, despite the fact that it is mostly inspired by the Immortal Hulk and tries to like pull in some storylines from that and some of the mythos that the Immortal Hulk, created during that storyline, and tries to pull it from there to make its own sort of thing. But it still like threw away some of the more important concepts like the alters, the multiple personality stuff, the Green Door stuff. Well, they took the Green Door stuff, but like mostly the psychological aspects of that run, they kind of threw away for some reason. But I would still recommend it overall. In fact, I'd probably still recommend any Hulk run for anybody who's just interested in the character, period. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you read or how you read it, as long as you're reading it and as long as you enjoy it. So, but those are like all the Hulk runs, personally, that I would probably recommend to anybody if they really want to get into the character and if they really enjoy the character from the movies or from the games or from the cartoons, despite the fact that we don't have a lot of any of those, unfortunately. But if you like the Hulk and really want to get interested in that, just read that. And once again, you could read all of it on the Marvel app. It's all on the Marvel app for a pretty low price. No, this video is not an ad for Marvel. I do not get any money from them. It's not a sponsor. I'm just saying that it's a pretty good tool to use if you want to get into the comics and you don't have any money to like buy the giant volumes that I have personally. But that's about it for me. If you've reached the end of this video, say watermelon so I know that you've reached it. And all that being said, I'll see you next time. New video whenever. I'm going to try to make more videos more regularly nowadays. I'm going to try to do that. There's no promises, unfortunately, but other than that, I hope you liked the video. Like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you like, what you dislike, and I'll see you next time.